Hey, and welcome back. This is episode 2 in a 6-part series on reclaiming you after narcissistic abuse. If you missed episode 1, where I lay out the roadmap on how to reclaim yourself, be sure to check it out here or here and come back to this episode where I will detail phase 1 of the recovery, what I call the shattering. The shattering is the hardest phase of healing after a narcissistic divorce. Today, I'm going to help you understand why your mind is having such a hard time letting go, why you're obsessing, why you keep checking your phone, and why peace feels impossible right now. You're not crazy. You're in withdrawal. And what you're experiencing makes perfect sense once you understand what's really happening inside your body. But first, I'm Janice Holland, a licensed therapist, and I am the trauma teacher. I'm here to help you step out of performative living, where people-pleasing and self-abandonment thrive, and into courageous living, where your voice leads, your choices align with your values, and your life finally belongs to you. So if you're watching this, you're probably exhausted, or you remember being exhausted just after everything fell apart. You've cried until your head hurts. You've reread text messages, scrolled his social media, maybe even driven past the places you know he goes just to see if he's okay or if he's missing you. You tell yourself to stop, but your body won't listen. It's like there's an invisible cord you can't cut, and the harder you try, the more it pulls. This isn't weakness, that's trauma. I know that word might be hard to hear. Maybe you identify that what you've been through was traumatic, or maybe you don't. I don't want to get caught up in the semantics. It was overwhelming, sad, scary, terrifying, and maybe feels like you will never recover. Let's at least agree on that and focus on the main point of this phase. When someone has spent years manipulating, gaslighting, and controlling you, your nervous system literally gets wired around them. They become the source of both pain and relief, which is what makes leaving feel impossible. This is why phase 1 is so brutal. Your reality has shattered, but your biology hasn't caught up yet. Let's talk about what's really happening. And before I do, I want to just talk through some things. Some of the words I'm about to use, things like trauma bond or addiction or withdrawal, might feel big, maybe even dramatic, and that's okay. You don't have to fully identify with those words right now or ever, but just stay open, stay curious. If something I described doesn't fit exactly perfectly, that's okay. Use it as language to help you see yourself more clearly, not as a label that boxes you in. Your body runs on chemistry. When you were in that relationship, your nervous system was constantly cycling between fear and relief. He'd criticize, withdraw, or explode, and your body would flood with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Then, just when you were about to break, he'd pull you back in with affection, apologies, or crumbs of connection. And your brain would release dopamine, the feel-good reward chemical. That cycle, tension and relief, pain and comfort, literally trained your body to associate him with survival. Your brain learned this is what love feels like. This is what we call a trauma bond. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means your body adapted to inconsistency because unpredictability became normal. And like any learned pattern, when the source of that chemical loop is removed, your body goes into withdrawal. That's why you're craving him right now. That's why you can't stop thinking about him. That's why you keep replaying the good moments or fantasizing that maybe this time would be different. It's your brain trying to recreate the chemical rush that used to come after every fight and makeup. It's not love you're missing, it's adrenaline. It's the intensity your body learned to expect. But here's the good news. Withdrawal means the conditioning is breaking. Your body is relearning what calm and consistency actually feels like. And even if those words, trauma or withdrawal or addiction, feel too strong, that's okay. The point isn't to label yourself, it's to start understanding your body's brilliance. You were never crazy. You were surviving. And now you're retraining your system to finally know what safety feels like. One of the most dangerous parts of the shattering is the shame that we feel. The voice that says, how did I let it get this far? How did I, a smart, strong woman, end up here? And I know you. You're not someone who misses things. You're the one who notices inconsistencies. You notice the subtle shifts in tone. You're the one who reads the room before anyone else even knows there's something to read. You've always been the one who protects others from being fooled because you saw it coming. So when it all collapsed, when the truth about what you've been living finally hits, it didn't just break your heart. It shattered your identity. Because if you're the one who always knows, then how could you have let this happen? That's the question that loops in so many of our minds, the one that keeps us stuck, not just missing him, but hating ourselves. Maybe you're replaying the timeline, searching for the moment you should have known, or you go over every conversation, every red flag, every time your intuition whispered and you silenced it, and you promised yourself you'll never be fooled again. But here's the deal. You may never fully reconcile how long you stayed or how hard you tried to fix it. Even when you understand all the reasons, the gaslighting, the manipulation, the trauma responses, your mind may still whisper, but I still should have known better. And that's because deep down you believed you were doing the right thing. You believed that love and sacrifice went hand in hand. You were taught that real love meant endurance, sticking it out, giving grace, seeing potential, forgiving endlessly. So the more you sacrificed, the more it proved, at least to you, that your love was genuine. Every time he hurt you, you told yourself, if I love him through this, it means I'm strong. Every time you gave one more chance, you thought, this is what devotion actually really looks like. You didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you were loyal, because you thought love was something you proved, not something you received. But somewhere along the way, the line between love and self-abandonment blurred, and your vigilance, the very thing that once kept you safe, got redirected into keeping him safe. You weren't ignoring red flags. You were trying to love your way into healing someone who never wanted to heal. That's not foolishness. That's conditioning. And that shame you feel, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the person who trained you to believe that your worth was measured by how much pain you could endure without leaving. You were vigilant, yes, but vigilance isn't the same as self-trust. Vigilance keeps you scanning for danger out there. Self-trust roots you into safety in here. And that's what was stolen from you. Not your intelligence, not your strength, but your ability to believe your own perception. So here's the work of this phase, and it is work. You'll have to begin forgiving the part of you that didn't know how to leave sooner. You'll have to stop expecting logic to explain what survival once required, because there will never be a perfectly satisfying answer. No sentence, no insight will fully reconcile why you stayed as long as you did. Your mind will keep searching for closure that doesn't exist until you decide to stop looking and start living. I know this feels harsh, but I want you to hear the truth and feel it and believe it and live it so that you don't waste more time searching for something you will never find. If you want a life filled with joy, purpose, and authenticity, you can't keep punishing yourself for the ways you once coped. You can't build freedom from self-contempt. The antidote to shame isn't denial, it's compassion. Not excuses, compassion. When you understand that you stayed because you were wired to equate sacrifice with love, that you overgave because you thought it made you worthy, you stop fighting yourself and start healing yourself. You can't hate yourself into wholeness. You can only love yourself back into safety. Or maybe having safety for the first time. That's the beginning of freedom. Not when the pain disappears, but when you stop turning it against yourself. So now let's talk about what happens next. Those moments when you know reaching out isn't a good idea, but every cell in your body wants to. You tell yourself you're over it, and then you find yourself scrolling his socials or rereading old messages again just to feel something. That pull isn't weakness, it's biology. Your brain and body are still detoxing from the patterns of chaos they got used to. Remember, you spent years living on edge. Your nervous system learned to survive on cortisol, adrenaline, and those tiny hits of dopamine that came after every fight, every apology, every brief glimpse of connection. That's why when things get quiet now, your body doesn't read it as peace. It reads it as absence. And absence feels like danger. That's why silence hurts. That's why your mind is racing. You're not craving him, you're craving regulation. Your system is asking, how do I feel safe without the roller coaster? You can't rush this part, but you can learn to calm your body. Here's some ways you can do it. Interrupt the urge before it becomes a spiral. So when that wave of longing or panic hits, say to yourself, this isn't truth. This is chemistry. It's not about shaming the craving, it's about naming it. That pause moves you from reaction to awareness, and awareness is powerful. Next, give your body what it's really asking for, which is safety. When you feel that surge, that racing thought, the tight chest, the urge to fix or reach out, you're actually feeling dysregulation. Your body doesn't know what to do. It's scanning for something predictable. You can give that through your senses, all 5 of them. Move your body, shake, stretch, feel the floor underneath your feet. Breathe in through your nose for 4 and out through your mouth for 6. Find an object, a sound, a scent that anchors you to now. You're teaching your nervous system that peace doesn't mean loss, it means stability. And number 3, replace the fantasy with truth. When your mind romanticizes the good times, ground yourself in the whole story. Yes, there were moments of connection, but they came at a cost. And remind yourself, I'm remembering the highs, but I'm forgetting the crash. You don't need to vilify him, but you do need to stop idolizing him, because truth will break that trance. And number 4, choose connection that regulates you. The craving for him is really a craving for soothing. So reach out for something that actually nourishes you. A safe friend, listening to calming music, stepping outside, journaling. Every time you do, you're showing your body that connection doesn't have to come with pain. Each time you interrupt that cycle, you're creating a new pairing. That calm is connection instead of chaos is connection. And little by little, your body learns it doesn't need adrenaline to feel alive. But I want to prepare you for what comes next, because as the cravings quiet down, another wave rises. You have been surviving on chaos for so long that when it finally fades, something very unexpected takes place. Grief. The truth starts to surface, and it can take your breath away. To begin to see what was really lost. The days, the weeks, the years spent trying to fix something that was never yours to fix. The holidays that felt heavy instead of happy. The nights you cried beside someone who didn't care or notice. The version of love you once believed in, pure, innocent, and hopeful. Now it feels like it's gone. And what's left can feel like brokenness and rage. Rage at him, rage at yourself, rage at the years you'll never get back, the youth you gave away, the energy you spent managing his moods instead of nurturing your dreams. You want it all back, the time, the softness, and the woman that you were dreaming to be. But grief is cruel in that way. It makes you see the full cost of what you endured only after you finally get free. Here's the deal. This is still part of the shattering. It's what happens when the addiction fades and clarity sets in. You're no longer fueled by chaos, but you're not yet anchored in peace. You're standing in the wreckage, awake, aware, and heartbroken. But this heartbreak is sacred. It's proof that you're finally telling yourself the truth. It's the moment you stop minimizing, stop rationalizing, and start mourning what you've lost, including the version of yourself who thought love meant sacrifice. So if this is where you are right now, if you're angry, exhausted, and grieving time you can't get back, please know that doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're healing, because once the storm clears and the truth settles in, you're finally standing on solid ground for the first time ever. Painful, yes, but real. And that's where the next phase, the void, begins. And the void is not the emptiness you fear, but there's silence where you can finally hear yourself again. In the next episode, we're going to walk straight into that space together. We'll talk about how to live without the chaos, how to survive the boredom and the stillness, and how to begin letting peace feel safe, probably for the first time. You have made it through the hardest part, the collapse, the craving, and the clarity. Now it's time to learn how to exist and what comes next. So now that you understand what's happening inside your mind, I want to bring you back to where the real healing happens, in your body. because your body is the container of your story. It remembers every fight you tried to soothe over, every apology you gave to keep the peace, every time you swallowed your truth to stay connected. It remembers the nights you cried silently next to him, pretending everything was fine just to survive the morning. And now that the relationship is over, your body finally has permission to let it all out. That's why you feel shaky, nauseous, exhausted, or flooded with emotion out of nowhere. It's not random, it's release. Your system is discharging what it never had space to process before. So instead of asking, when will this end? Try asking, what is my body trying to let go of today? Go for a walk. Cry until you can breathe again. Write what you could never say out loud. Shake out your hands, stretch, dance, or just breathe. Movement metabolizes the stress hormones still circulating in your system. It tells your body, you're safe now. You can stop holding it all together. This is physical healing as much as it is emotional. And as your body releases, your clarity will deepen. Here's what I want you to remember. This isn't the end, it's your beginning. You're not broken, you're not failing, you're rebooting, you're feeling. The woman you're becoming is being born out of this discomfort. It hurts because you're shedding everything false, the illusion, the dependency, the fantasy that love and sacrifice had to be the same thing. You're learning to breathe without the drama, to let love and peace coexist. And yes, that feels very foreign at first, because for so long, pain was proof that you cared. Sacrifice was how you measured devotion. So calm feels confusing and boring and pointless, but you're not losing love. You're learning what real love feels like. You can't rebuild from chaos. You can only rebuild from clarity, and clarity always begins with this collapse. So if you feel like everything has fallen apart, that's not failure, it's foundation. The pieces that remain are the ones you can finally build something real with. In the next episode, we're going to break all this down even more. What's happening inside your body and mind right now, and the exact steps you can take to move through the next phase without losing yourself again. We'll talk about how to interrupt the obsessive thoughts, how to begin calming your nervous system, and how to start feeling safe without the constant craving for chaos. This is where an awareness turns into action, and it's where you start rebuilding trust with yourself, one breath, one choice at a time. If today's episode has helped you see yourself a little more clearly, hit subscribe so that you'll be notified the moment the next episode drops. And tell me in the comments, what part of this phase feels the hardest for you right now? What other questions do you have? I want to help and support you. I read every message because this series is meant to be a lifeline, not just information, but connection. I want you to remember you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're healing from a conditioning that taught you that chaos was love, and you're learning how to live without it. Take some breaths. You've made it through the collapse, or you're making it through the collapse, and you've already done the hardest part. If you need and want something tangible and supportive right now, then I have created a guide for you called Finally at Peace. You can grab it in the comments below, or you can in the description below, or you can comment guide and I will send it to you right away. I would love to support you and give you something tangible you can hold on to right now that's going to walk you step by step how to get through this hardest phase. I'll see you in the next episode.